Okay, well, let's start with the mandala. Here is the great earth filled with the smell of incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, the four continents, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratnam Mandalakam Niryatayame. I go for refuge to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the song of the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration, wisdom, may I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the song of the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration, wisdom, may I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration, wisdom, I will attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. Okay. Well, let's start as we usually do with rejoicing. We don't have too many here to worry about rejoicing, so I guess we'll just dive in. Let's go with Natalia first.
Thank you. What I'm rejoicing is that I'm going to Diamond Mountain on Friday. I think this is the main, this has been the main focus for me this week. I'm very happy.
Okay. Well, it's going to be good to see you again, and we'll have lots to talk about. Sheila, what about you? What do you have to rejoice in? The fact your sister's not sitting next to you so you can talk about it?
No, she's not here. She went to Cuatro Ciénegas. It's a little town in the north of Mexico. And I rejoice of that because she went to see the eclipse and she can see, and she had the seats to see the total eclipse, and she took a lot of pictures, beautiful pictures of the eclipse, and she shared with me, and that's my rejoice.
Well, could you share some of those with me? I'd be curious what it looks like.
Yes, of course.
Maybe share 5 or 6 of them with me. That'd be great.
Yes, of course. I send you by mail.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad she had fun. Why didn't you go?
Because she went with her friend, and it's better that she went only without me. She didn't need her sister.
Well, I understand. Sometimes that happens.
Yes, that's why.
Okay. Well, it'll be fun to see you both in a few days.
Yes.
We're very much looking forward to. Well, I guess it's going to be another week since I'm not going to be down there for most of the time, but good. Okay, Svetlana. Oh, very good. Very good. Okay. Evgeny, what do you have to rejoice in?
Hi everyone. Я я хочу порадоваться тому, что на этой неделе стартует 46-й Lam Rim. Я буду его целиком записывать и выкладывать на YouTube, и распространять эти знания. И самое главное, что я радуюсь тому, что мне есть возможность эти знания послушать, и я их очень сильно жду. Я прям соскучился по Lam Rim'у.
Oh, good. Yes, the teachings are going to be, as always, magnificent. And the weather down here is going to be gorgeous. Well, I'm pretty sure it's going to be gorgeous. So, okay, Allah, how about you?
Добрый вечер.
Some
Ну, я, как всегда, радуюсь тому, что я жива, что у меня есть возможность практиковать в комфортных условиях, когда на меня никто не нападает, не хочет убить, и мне есть что пить, есть где жить. Это очень много. И пока что у меня есть шанс как бы развиваться и стремиться прийти к просветлению. И я радуюсь тому, что я нахожусь в кругу людей, которые, я думаю, уже пришли к просветлению. Просто они скрывают это. Я очень радуюсь, что я нахожусь здесь. Большое спасибо.
Very good. That's wonderful. That's a very good rejoicing, all of you. My rejoicings, well, I've got several. Let me think which one I want. I told you the last class about the one with my wife walking in front of me, I think, didn't I? Okay. Well, I had a similar thing happen. Oh, I have that note. That doesn't concern me because I was hearing you in English. Anyway, so we had a leak that we needed to fix, and it was straightforward. There are these special fittings that are very easy to work with called shark bite fittings. That's just their trade name. They're very easy to work with, and I had great confidence that what Carlos and I were going to do was going to fix the leak. So we get everything set up, we connect all the tubing using these shark bite fittings allow you to take them apart so they're not glued together like the first time I tried this, but they're quite expensive. So I put it all together. We turned the handle to turn the water on, and water came pouring out of one of the fittings. And I couldn't explain it. I'd never had that happen. During Diamond Mountain from 2004 to 2010, I worked with hundreds of those fittings, and I never had that problem. So I was perplexed. But we undid everything. I took a look at it, and sure enough, there's this little plastic insert that has to be there. It's a little white plastic insert. And without that, it leaks. So I thought, I've never, the insert can stay in the tubing. So you think you've lost it, but then you look at the end of the tubing and there it is. Well, I looked at the end of the tubing, no fitting, no insert. I looked again in the T joint, no insert. So we took it all apart. We took it down to the hardware store. And this is where I had a really good chance to practice, and I didn't do as well as I would have liked. I went in and I went over to the shark bite fittings and started looking at them, and they were missing these inserts on several of them. Now, when I started using shark bite fittings, they only worked on one kind of tubing. So now they apparently work on many different kinds. And sometimes when you buy one of these, it's missing this insert because it's going to be used for a different pipe. Well, so I'm looking through and I see all these things are missing, what I consider to be missing parts. And I asked a salesman, I didn't ask him, I said, you know, you've got a lot of parts missing from these fittings. Do you realize that? And he walked over very nicely and said, well, sir, I think if you look, let me show you. And I looked on the package and said, this can work with these 3 different kinds of tubing. So sometimes you don't need that insert. And I thought, oh, I just learned something valuable. But what I really was, I didn't mind that I didn't know that. But what bothered me was my approach. I should have said to him, well, let me back up. In a situation like that, I should be thinking how I can act so that if I were the person I'm working with, he or she would feel comfortable. So when I came into the store and said, your parts are missing, your fittings are missing certain parts, I was basically accusing him of having faulty things that he was selling, which wasn't my intent. But when I stopped and I thought about it, that's what it sounded like. So what I realized was what I should have done is think, okay, if I'm in his shoes and he's me, what do I need to say to get the point across without being rude? What I should have said and could have said, but didn't, was, I have a problem. I'm missing a fitting in an insert in one of my fittings. Now, I didn't buy this teeth from you, but I need to get that fitting. I was just surprised it didn't come in the package. All of that's not accusatory. It's all pleasant. It's what I should have said. So there was the self-existent me having this self-existent problem, which had nothing to do with me, when in fact, of course, the fact that it was missing a fitting meant I had been careless in the past with helping someone do some plumbing maybe or something like that. So instead of walking or driving to the store and being upset that, we're not so much upset, but wondering how that could have happened to me, I should have and could have acted more wisely. So I think the point of this story is a constant battle we're fighting. And I challenge you to think more and more of these kind of situations because it's happening all the time. We know it. Our problem is, and this is the point Geshe was making and Pabonga Rinpoche was making, we talk about things not being self-existent, but when we get right down to it all day, we're still acting as if they are. And now I know I'm not going to truly not think they're self-existent until I've seen emptiness directly, but I can do a better job. I need to catch myself right before I start doing anything like that again. So I admit to all of you that I'm human. Well, I am human. But catch yourself, think about it. And that's really what the book is all about, catching yourself and thinking about your vows and stuff. So I rejoice that I was able to analyze that. I apologize to the gentleman, and I swear to myself that from now on, I'm going to try very, very hard before I say anything to anybody in a situation like that. I think what I want the result to be and how I can make that as most pleasant for both the individuals involved. So we gave you guys access to the website. What did you think?
It's very good.
It's nice and simple. It's not really flashy and colorful. When I made the first version of it up before one of my students helped, it had a really nice, I like the nice image of a waterfall, showed meaning the karma was flowing over everybody. But it was kind of busy and you had to click through several different layers. So now you don't. You just do one or two clicks. So Sheila, how was the Spanish? Was it okay?
Yes, I saw in Spanish, and the translate it's excellent. It's very
Mhm.
useful because you only push the number and you can have the list of all the things that are in this number, and I could understand the translate in Spanish.
Good. Well, I'm
Yes.
glad to hear that. Now we just need to get one in Bulgarian.
Yes,
I'm just
Natalia.
kidding, Natalia. I know you've got a lot to do. When you can get to it, don't worry about it. So, Svetlana, did you get any feedback from the Russian students, or Alla? Did you have a chance to look at it? Or Evgeny, if any one of you had a chance to look at it, I'd be curious of the translation. The translation's all Svetlana's, so if there's something wrong, it's her problem, not mine.
Я не смотрела сайт, а где его можно посмотреть? Где есть ссылка?
В Телеграм-чате.
So okay. Well, I was hoping I'd get some feedback from, so we got, the Spanish is in good shape. That's important to me. They're all important to me. But what did you think of the Russian translation, Natalia?
It's good. Svetlana did very good job, and everything looks good. I don't know who made the site, but it looks very, very professional. Very nice.
Well, one of my students, Layla, in my other class, is a web designer, and she just stepped right up and took apart what I'd done and made it simpler. And she ran it by a couple of her professional friends, and they really liked how simple it was. And that was the whole point. What drives me nuts with websites is when you have to click 3 or 4 or 5 windows to get to what you want. So now I'm still working on the game. I need to talk to Carlos about that. I'm not sure how we're going to get that done, but that's next on my list. Okay, as to class, my computer was just overloaded with other stuff, and I had no way of keeping everything stable on my computer, all the lists that I wanted to use today. So I'm going to take the time to defrag my computer and take stuff off of it this evening and tomorrow and get it so I can use it more stably. So what I don't really have much to offer today. We could do part of the source of all my good meditation if that would be of interest. Let's do the mirror room and the Bodhisattva room. So how have all of you done the source of all my good? I can't keep track of who I've taught this to and who I haven't. Sheila, have you had the source of all my good?
По-моему, нет. Я не проходила.
Okay. Well, I think we can do it, and I think you'll like it. So, okay, so get comfortable. This will be about 15 minutes. So let's watch our breath. Let me get so get comfortable, close your eyes, have your head be in a nice comfortable position, your lips are relaxed, your face is relaxed, your spine is straight, your shoulders are level. Now let's watch our breath. 2 sets of 10 breath. I'll count. Here we go. Picture yourself in front of a blue door. You're in a hallway. As you're at the end of the hallway, you come up to a blue door. You open the door and step into the room. This room is mirrors everywhere, mirrors on the wall, mirrors on the floor, mirrors on the ceiling. The shape is like a dodecahedron, so that means it has 12 sides, and each of the sides is a pair with another one. So you get the infinite reflection that when you line two mirrors up, you can see what appears to be your reflection all the way back. And usually it curves up because the mirrors are not exactly parallel. If they're exactly parallel, you would just be looking off into infinity. Now, often when you have this effect with a mirror, there's a slight green tinge to it. But these mirrors we're working with are made of diamond, so it's a perfect reflection with no color included. The color comes from an iron contaminant in most glass. You've stepped into the room and you notice, first of all the reflections. So any the slightest movement you make is reflected and magnified in the mirrors. This is an indication that your life is a reflection of your karma and your deeds. And any slightest motion is magnified, just like your karma is magnified after every day that goes on. It goes between being set and being ripened. So you take a step further into the room and you go down 2 steps into a sunken floor. You turn around and look back at the door you came in, and you see the sunken floor has a slight wall, maybe a foot high, and it's black, and you see gold letters running around it, being scrolled around it. And that's your 10 virtuous deeds. commitment to the 10 virtuous deeds. Then you see the door on the other side of the room, and in between are a lot of small, very delicate glass and porcelain figurines. You have to be very careful walking to the other door because you don't want to break one of these very expensive and very important figurines. These represent your freedom vows. And they're called freedom vows because if you follow them, you will be freed from rebirth and samsara. So the freedom vows, the refuge, you don't really have refuge vows, you have refuge commitments, but they're included. Then if you're a novice monk and novice nun, you have 35. If you're a full monk, you have, oh golly, I'm forgetting right now, 300 some odd. A nun, full nun has over 500. A lifetime layperson would usually have 5. Sometimes a layperson doesn't get all 5 vows. I like to teach all 5. So the point is, you're in a room where everything's reflected. Any movement you make is reflected. The figurines represent breaking your vows, trying not to break your vows. So you do make it across to the other side of the room. There's a red door there. You open the red door and you step into a dimly lit room after the brightly lit mirror room. You stop and let your eyes get accustomed to the darkness. It's not pitch black, but it's fairly dark. And you notice golden arrows scrolling, pointing you, moving you along into the middle of the room. You follow them, then they stop, and they stop blinking, and you look up, and there's the incense burner hanging from the ceiling, called an incensor. You put incense in it and light it, and you keep it suspended in the room. And that's one way to burn incense. So you see it, you see there's a lighter hanging off of the burner. You pick the lighter up and you light the incense. And the smoke begins to fill the room. This represents how your bodhisattva vows in the form of the wish will permeate your life into every nook and cranny of your life, just like the smoke in this room. You turn around and go back to the door you came in, and you notice on the left of the door, there's a niche, and that niche has 4 packages. That niche represents the perfection of giving. The 4 packages are of different sizes. The smallest one holds a $100 bill when you open it. That represents giving material things. The next largest package you open has a deed to a house, and that represents giving physical protection. Now, the size of the boxes is important because the smallest box it's not fair to say it's the least important thing you can give, but it's not the most powerful, let's put it that way. So the second one is the gift of physical protection, a deed to a house where you can be safe from outside weather and people and animals. It also could be represented by the fact that you have a safe place to sleep and cook food and drink and take care of yourself. The third package, slightly larger still, contains a Valentine and a bottle of medicine. So you have the perfection of the four parts of giving material things, giving physical protection, and then giving love and compassion. Love is represented by the Valentine, and compassion is represented by the bottle of aspirin. So what's the difference between love and compassion? Love is trying to make somebody happy. Compassion is taking away their suffering. Sometimes it's one and the same, but usually if you focus on taking away their suffering, you're thinking of how to make them happy. You're not really thinking of the compassion aspect of it. So I use my wife's headaches as an example. When she has a headache, a terrible blasting migraine, what would make her happy in other circumstances would be to offer her some ice cream or some chocolate. But because I have compassion, I know what she really wants is to have the suffering of that headache go away. So instead, I give her a hot compress, which is what she really likes in a situation like that. Then when she's done with her headache, I can give her something that will make her happy. So you need to watch and look at people and what's making them happy, what's having them suffer, and make sure you apply the love when it's necessary and compassion when it's necessary. And the important point there is to look at their needs, not yours. Put yourself in their shoes, see what they might be suffering from, and try and help them. I was outside of a convenience store once a while back, and the guy was there and he looked hungry. So I went in and got him a sandwich and brought it out. And he looked at the sandwich and said to me, "I'd rather have the money." And I thought, well, I made a reasonable assumption he needed food, but perhaps I should have asked him, "How can I help you?" And maybe he would have said, "I need $5 to do something." So it wasn't that I was wrong in getting him a sandwich. That was a bodhisattva activity. But if I'd really thought it out, I would have asked him first. Now, some would say, well, he wants $5 to buy a bottle of beer. What he does with the $5 is really none of my business, other than it's my karma to ripen to see him buy a bottle of beer. It's not him, it's my karma ripening. So back to the gifts. The last one, the most important thing, the most powerful thing you can give is the Dharma. So the last box has a copy of the Diamond Cutter Sutra or Heart Sutra, because that's the most powerful gift, is the gift of the Dharma. So you put all of the lids on all the packages back, put them back in the niche. As you turn around and walk away from the niche, the light gets just a tiny bit brighter, noticeably brighter. And this represents the perfection of giving that you're striving for. You turn to your left. It's a hexagonal shaped room. So you're down at side one. Side two has a small niche and it's got a bonsai tree. This represents the perfection of discipline. The bonsai tree is on a, you know how the roots are around a gnarly rock or something on a bonsai tree? There's these gnarly roots, and there's the trunk, and I make it a weeping willow, which is unusual. They aren't usually made into bonsai trees. But I like the weeping willow, and I'll get to why I like it in a minute. So the tree represents your vows. You need to have a excellent foundation for the Bodhisattva vows to work. And that's represented by the roots, and they represent your freedom vows. The trunk represents Bodhisattva vows, and the top of the tree represents your tantric vows. And your tantric vows, unlike some people think that the tantric vows trump the other vows. So if it isn't explicitly mentioned in your tantric vows, then you don't have to do it with the other vows, the Bodhisattva vows. That couldn't be any further from further than being wrong. And that's why I like to use the willow tree. Because the willow tree, the leaves and branches drape down to cover the rest of the tree, signifying that all of those vows beneath the tantric vows are covered by the tantric vows, included in the tantric vows. So without good roots, without good freedom vows, adherence to your freedom vows, you can't have a powerful bodhisattva vows. And if you don't have powerful bodhisattva vows, then the nourishment to keep the leaves that represent your tantric vows alive doesn't get to the plant and it would die. So it's very important to have all the vows, and they're not how can I put it? Not characterize one set as being more important than the other. They're all very important. So you turn, and as you walk away from that niche, the light gets just a little bit brighter, signifying your commitment to the perfection of moral discipline. You walk underneath the incenser, which is still putting out fragrant smoke. And you come to a niche that's not really a niche. It's an opening that's about 6 feet wide by 6 feet tall. So for all you metric people, 2 meters tall, 2 meters wide. You see, from the outside, you see a small body of like a pond and a log next to the pond. When you get inside, it stretches out to be a beautiful lake, and you have a chance to sit on this log, which is in the water. You reflect on how you need to have your mind be as still as a smooth lake for you to meditate properly. So you remember Master Shantideva's admonition, calm your mind, get all the silly stuff out of it. You'll be able to calm the surface of the pond or lake. And that represents having the ideal situation to ponder and have the direct perception of emptiness. So you sit on the log and you're following Master Shantideva's advice. When something happens to anger you or make you overly joyously happy, act like a bump on a log. And at least in the English language, we talk about that guy's over there, looks like he's just a bump on the log. He's not saying anything. He's not reacting to anything. So in some respects, being compared successfully to being a bump on the log in a nasty situation is a pretty good compliment. So you step out of that niche, and as you leave and walk across to the next wall, the light gets just a little bit brighter. The next wall is joyous effort. It has a niche in it, and there's a video playing on a screen in there. And it shows kids having a lot of fun on a merry-go-round. This represents the joyful effort, the sound of, to me, there's nothing more joyful than a big bowl of ice cream, but nothing more joyful than the playful sound of children playing. There's a kind of laugh children have that's just really beautiful to listen to. Then there's another kind of laugh which shows they're stressed and being bullish maybe. I like the first one. I think that's one of the things I remember when someone talks about joy. I think of young children's playful melodious laughter. Okay, so you turn away from there, knowing that you can perfect the perfection of joyous effort. And as you step away from it, the light gets a little bit brighter still. You walk across to the fifth wall, and you see a microscope there. And on the microscope stage, there's a tag that says, use me at least 1 hour a day. This is a reflection on how you need to perfect your ability to concentrate. A microscope concentrates light, so it's a good metaphor. So you have a tool, your meditation. You want to focus that tool as you would a microscope. So you pick up the microscope, you take it to the last wall, and there you find on the left-hand side of another red door, you find a diamond, a VVS1 diamond. VVS means very slight, very, very slight imperfection. And D is the color diamonds of commerce, or VVS1D diamonds. Now, interestingly enough, a diamond doesn't have a flaw. If you can't see it under 10 magnification, it doesn't have a flaw. So if you don't look too closely, it looks pretty perfect. So you pick the diamond up, you take the microscope, and we haven't walked over to that door yet, that wall yet, I'm sorry. So you pick up the microscope and you go over to the wall, and there's a VVS1 1-carat diamond. You take the diamond and put it on this microscope stage, and you look at it with your microscope, and that's represents your perfect meditation on emptiness. And you get the direct perception of emptiness. So you put the microscope down, back in the fifth wall. You pick up the diamond and put it back in the niche. And as you do so, the lights get a little bit brighter because you've improved your meditation to where you can see emptiness directly. As you look back into the room, it's filled with a light level of smoke, and that represents what you've done now. You've taken the 6 perfections and you're working on perfecting them, and they permeate your life in every way you can think of. They're everywhere during your life. You look back and you see the root Bodhisattva vows and the crown molding scrolling around as gold letters. And on the ceiling, you also see the 46 secondary vows. And you turn back to go into the next room, and you notice on the door, there's a combination lock. And you need to unlock that door to get to the next level of the meditation. So above that door, you see in gold letters the 4 immeasurables. May all sentient beings know happiness and the causes of happiness, and may I help them achieve this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, and may I help them achieve this. May all sentient beings come to rest in the great impartiality which is free of attachment and aversion, and may I help achieve this. And may all sentient beings never be separated from the highest bliss. So you read those, you say that to yourself, and magically the combination lock turns and allows you to open the door into the next room. which we're not going to go into. So that's part of the meditation for the source of all my good. You can open your eyes now. So that took about half an hour. So you can stay still. You can focus on a meditative object for quite a reasonable amount of time. So that's pretty much all I have for today. I do apologize. I need to get my computer squared away. I will make you this promise. Come hell or high water, next week we will go over the poster. We will go over the poster. We will go over the poster. Now, if you hear of a flood in Tucson, then I won't be going over the poster, but I don't think it's going to flood. Okay, are there any questions?
During Lam Rim, we are not going to have classes, and it's over April 21st, Sunday. So you think our next class will be 22nd, 23rd, Thursday, right?
Yes, we can do that. Let's do that. So the 23rd, that's Tuesday. Is that right? It's the 23rd?
Yes, 23rd is Tuesday.
Yeah, 23rd. So we'll have class then. And I'll have the poster squared away so we can enjoy taking a nice long look at the poster.
Thank you.
So enjoy Geshe-la's teachings. I know I am going to. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody that's going to be there. I'm sorry, Svetlana, you couldn't make it, but I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to make it to Guadalajara, but you never know. You never know. Okay, so let's dedicate this. May the source of benefit and goodness, the Dharma, spread and expand. May the beings upholding the Dharma have excellent health. May the source of happiness and well-being for all embodied beings, the Dharma taught by the Buddhas, always increase. Thank you. Have a lovely next week and enjoy the teachings. Yeah. We'll see you on the 23rd.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.